Well, hey, everybody, welcome back to the Dr. Jockers Functional Nutrition Podcast, where we believe your body was created to heal itself, that we have an innate healing potential within us, and it's working every day on our behalf to do everything it can to give us the greatest possible survival advantage. And we're here to help arm you and equip you with the resources and tools you need to heal and function at your best. And so I'm excited about today's podcast. We're going to talk about the healing power of the ocean. And we're going to go into a lot more depth on things with my friend Ian Clark. But before we get into that, I wanted to remind you to download this month's special gift at drjockersgift.com. From keto meal plans, smoothie recipes, to fasting quick start guides, we have a new complimentary gift every single month. So to get your gift, simply visit drjockersgift.com. That's drjockersgift.com. And now let's get to the podcast. So Ian Clark is the founder of Activation Products, really revolutionary company. They make some incredible products that you'll definitely want to check out. And Ian has an interesting health story that we're going to get into that really led him out of the oil industry and into the natural products industry. So Ian, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, David. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
Well, absolutely. Well, we're going to talk a lot about the ocean and the healing power of the ocean and some of the products that you've been able to create to help people enhance their overall health. But I'd love to know more about your health journey, how you got out of the oil industry and into the natural products.
Well, yeah, I ended up in a pathway that I didn't ever expect, but I worked in the oil field from the age of 18 till 35, 17 years. And that's working actually in the field itself. So on the rigs, onshore, offshore, mostly in Western Canada. And out there, it's just, a go. They don't concern themselves about human health or human life per se. A lot of people are taken out just from injury in that industry because it's so dangerous. But what I didn't realize, the main danger was toxicity and all the chemicals, all of the different metals that you're exposed to, which are heavy metals, primarily lead. And I ended up getting a super lead poisoning without even knowing, but I should have known, and they should actually tell people, because every connection for every pipe, like if you look at drill pipe and they drill wells down to 15, 20,000 feet, every connection has lead on it and it sprays everywhere. And it's literally lead. It's the only thing that allows the joints to tighten up and then release again. And it goes on everything, on your clothing, everywhere. So I had all of this lead inside my system at a ridiculous level. That was just one thing that happened. So when I was 46 years old, these different health issues started to show up in the strangest ways. And then it was sort of in 2004. So I turned 62 on Sunday. And thankfully, I have the top level health for a 62-year-old that I know of. That was not the case at 46. I had everything hitting me I had a liver cancer diagnosis, which was incorrect. I did not have liver cancer. I had a colon cancer that showed up, which I had to fight off. That took 5 years. That's another story. I had heart disease, but the biggest issues was heavy metal poisoning. So mainly lead, and then mercury, cadmium, along with a significant amount of mold in my system. I didn't have any clue about these things. I went to the doctor with all these symptoms, and they did their very best to try to figure out what's the problem. And as I kept getting worse and worse and things started to pile up, ended up in a situation where I lost confidence in the doctors because they were guessing a lot. And I understand why they're guessing, because these are highly unusual circumstances. And it's not like a mathematical thing. It's like, no, you got to know what you're talking about. And so I woke up one morning and I realized that there were people on the earth who actually have the top level of knowledge in each category of health from a natural standpoint. But that didn't really do me any good per se at that point, because we all know there's the top level of people in each category, right? The best oil painter, the best violinist, the best person who knows all about brain health, digestive, respiratory, circulatory, endocrine, all these different human operating systems that are there. But I didn't know who they were, where they were, or how to find them. And that was a very big dilemma, because I knew one thing for sure, is that I didn't know what to do. And I knew that the doctors were not knowing what to do. After I caught them guessing 3 times on some pretty major issues, I lost complete confidence and thought, you know what? I watched my uncles when I was 20 years old. My uncles died 2 days apart in 1978. They're on my mom's side of the family. I look like one of them. So I was genetically, predisposed to kind of follow that track somehow. But they died at 51 and 54, 2 days apart, one from liver cancer that took a whole year to die from, and one from thyroid cancer. But by the time they found it in the younger one, who I looked like, he was so full of cancer, he died within 3 months. So they died 2 days apart, which was a huge impact on our family at the time. And I was 20 years old. So when I remembered that they followed the exact protocol exactly that the doctors gave them, and the doctor's prognosis was pretty accurate because they died just about on time. And it just didn't make sense to me to follow that same track and say, okay, I'm going to let doctors take my responsibility. And I personally believe that it was my problem. And my oldest brother was a medical doctor for 30 years. Really great guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the youngest out of 5 children. And so everybody in our family is very allopathic. And my sister's, married to a heart surgeon guy. And so it was very much leaning to go to doctors. You just go to the doctor, right? You do what the doctor says. And I felt that it was my response. It was something that I was doing. Something was wrong with me and that I had to take responsibility. And I was totally shut down on that. The doctors told me, my brother told me, look, it's genetic predisposition. It's not your fault. You don't know what you're doing. Just do what the doctors say. Go to the doctor, take the surgery, do what you're told. Because if you don't, all these people who they saw, like my brother, for example, this is important because my brother saw thousands of patients come through his clinic. He had 11 doctors working for him, in his clinic that he shared space with. Yeah. And he said, look, I see all these people come through from all walks of life. They try everything. One guy eats out of the dumpster and parties his face off and lives till 90. The other person's eating organic and juicing and dies in their mid-30s. It doesn't matter what you do. It's all genetic predisposition. So you're telling me that it's nothing I've done and nothing I'm doing, and I can't do anything to change it. I just got to go to the doctor. He goes, that's exactly right. And I said, well, I have a very strong sense that that's correct, and that is probably everything I'm doing, and I am going to take full responsibility. So he promptly phoned my mom and told her I was committing suicide because I wasn't doing the right thing, and I was going to go down a rabbit hole, and it was going to take me out. So when that happened, I told everyone in my family, I just sent him a blank message. Please leave me alone. Just give me 24 months. Do not bother me. I'm taking responsibility for this. If I die, I'll die at my own hands. I'm not going to die at the hands of a doctor. I was supposed to have serious surgery. I mean, the things that they were talking about were so horrible. So they did. They gave me 24 months. They just backed off and just left me alone. Just thought, oh, well, he's gone, And I lost 90 pounds, turned all yellow. I was skinny as a rake. It was really, really an interesting journey. But that first 24 months, I had to detox like crazy. And I started learning just one thing at a time. And so with that knowledge that there were people on the earth who actually knew what to do, I believed, and I prayed about it. I asked God to show me I said, if you show me who these people are, and you let me in on this information, I will do what I'm told. I will spend whatever time, energy, and money required. I will suffer at whatever level. I'll have as much fun as required. I'm wide open. And when that happened, it was just a slow go, one person at a time. I had about 1,000 days left to live at that time based on a doctor's prognosis. And I knew that if I had 1,000 days left, I could use that to could extend that to 5,000. If I could get 5,000 days, that would be a lot better because 1,000 days is very tight. It's around three years. So using that, I did. It started extending out. Within 5 years of that first messed up deal, I was in a safe medical range. So all the testing was showing up beautifully, where it was so off the charts before. I thought, okay, so we have something to work with now. How healthy can we get? So that was in 2009. And I just started to get healthier and healthier and healthier, learn more and more, did less and less, and got bigger and bigger results, costing less amount of time, energy, and money to get far greater results. And through that process, it was like a filtering out. Rather than trying to find everything, it was like, no, only allow the very top level, most efficacious things to come in. And that's what moved the needle completely. And we're still on that journey right now. Yeah. And it's only getting better and better and smarter and wiser and faster as time goes on.
Yeah, that's such an amazing healing story. And I love hearing that. And who were some of your original mentors when you started looking at what kinds of things can I do from a natural health perspective? What kinds of things were you reading? Was it naturopaths, different natural healers that you were seeing? Who was starting to influence you?
Well, that's a very cool question because I went to a health show in Toronto,
Hmm.
and I realized early on that medical doctors and naturopath doctors are in a similar category. They just take a different approach. They both help people significantly,
Yeah.
one from a medical standpoint, one from a natural standpoint. And I knew that if I would go to a naturopath, that they would find 50 to 100 things wrong with me, and then I'd have to do all these things. And I thought, wouldn't it be interesting if I could meet people who could help me reset my foundation? If I could just go functional foundational, those two words kept
Mhm.
coming up. Hey,
Yeah.
you got to go to the root cause. If you are trying to find solutions to your problem, that's one way you can do it, but it's not the right way because you have a problem. Where did the problem come from? If I'm trying to solve the problem up here, that's going to be very difficult and very actually risky because you're going to try all these things and it's going to cost all this money and you may not get results. But if you go to the root cause of the problem and you remove that, just remove the root cause. The root cause turned out to be super toxicity. Well, that's an interesting thing, right? So I was able to meet people, and there was some zany people along the way. One of the first people I met was a gentleman named Marcel Wolf. And he's a guy in Toronto who has deep knowledge. His brother is Daryl Wolf, who had the Wolf Clinic at the time. And he gave me some really great information about how to approach things. And I took that approach like I just talked about, go to the root cause.
Hmm.
And then I ran into David Wolf. I'm sure you know who
Yeah.
he is.
Wolf, yeah.
And so I
I know
did this
Daryl Wolf
raw,
too. I know Dr. Daryl Wolf. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so, well, David Wolf, and it was like interesting how two wolves,
Yeah.
right, showed up. And so I ran into David Wolf, and David was talking about raw food and juicing and veganism and all of that stuff. So I actually did that for a period of time, and that stopped the toxicity from coming in through the food.
Yeah.
I started getting better sleep. I started hydrating better. I realized I could control the stress of my autonomic nervous system in a very unique way, and that opened up a gateway to many people who I met that just went step by step by
Mhm.
step up, up, up. But I never ended up going to doctors or naturopaths at all because I realized that all of the issues at the root cause were being dealt with me. I'm very fortunate.
Yeah.
I love naturopaths because they take a different approach and they do help people on those individual things, and they can deal with two or three things at a time. But I wanted to clear everything out
Yeah.
all at once. And so it was just a different approach. And then I met people who talked about nanonutrients, micronutrients, detox, different elements, minerals, what kind of minerals, and how does your body function actually? Because you have so many human operating systems that are working in symphony with each other. And if one is out, it throws the other one out. So getting back down to the root cause of getting all the heavy metals out of the body that weren't supposed to be there, dealing with the mold issues, yeast overgrowth, gut health, the whole endocrine system, thyroid, brain health, getting your brain clear so you can make intelligent decisions based upon intelligent information. And it was just one person after the next. So that's how it went. It just kept going up and up and up. And the mentorships were there on more of a general. I watched the David Wolf stuff till around 2010, and
Mhm.
then I stopped all of that, and just because it kept going up higher and higher
Yeah.
into deeper things. He still has a lot of stuff that he tells people. He's very zany, right? So
Mhm.
that kind of throws people off a little bit. But it was fun, and
Yeah.
he's helped a lot of people anyway. And it just was a matter of becoming more and more sophisticated into the future as an individual, because it is you who holds and pays the price and gets the reward if you do things right.
Yeah.
And if I'm trying to get people to follow me and do what I say, that's okay. But really, what you're doing for people is you're providing fabulously intelligent information so they can make their own decisions and be excited about what they're doing. And it's like a revelation to them. They get all the data and they go, okay, cool. Because anytime you do anything that sticks, that you really get huge results from, that you love doing, that's a revelation type thing.
Yeah.
Right? You're stimulated by it. You're excited by it. And nobody has to tell you to do it. You just go and you see results. And the more you see results, the better it gets. So that's how it went. And one of the first nanonutrients, which I'd never even heard of before, ran into was a marine phytoplankton product from Vancouver that was actually manufactured in Europe. I'd heard about one from Vancouver, but it was diluted in some kind of fruit juice in a multi-level marketing company, and there was nothing in the bottle hardly. And so I thought, well, if that's there must be something real out there. And I did a search for marine phytoplankton bulk powder to see what I came up with. And I found this guy in Vancouver who had a connection to Europe. And then that morphed into a very nice situation where I was dealing directly with the people in Europe in the raw, fresh state of marine phytoplankton. And a person from Australia told me about an idea how you could use a concentrated, purified sea mineral liquid to stabilize anything fresh. And I put that together because I asked him, could I use your idea? He goes, certainly, you can use my idea. Just don't copy what we're doing.
So you said a sea mineral oil or a seed mineral?
Oh, a SEA mineral from the ocean.
Yeah. From the ocean. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. It's actually ocean water.
Yeah.
It's evaporated over 6 months and it condenses down to a very thick golden liquid. And it has like the sodium chloride drops out, but it leaves all the trace and macro elements, like a lot of magnesium and all the trace elements. But the cool thing about that is that, and most people should know this, is that you can take a 70-30 blend. Like if you go 70% concentrated ocean minerals and 30% anything fresh that's plant-based. It could be stinging nettle, hawthorn berry, phytoplankton, whatever. And you add that to that concentrate, it immediately stabilizes it fresh. So it's like going and picking an apple from a tree, but it stays that perfectly picked apple long term, right? And so when I started consuming that, I noticed that my body changed on several levels. And the main thing was it gave me a super joyful energy. It helped my mental energy to become very powerful. And I sensed it was like charging up a battery. It wasn't like making me run all over the place like a cup of coffee. It was a much deeper level source of power that was coming into my system. It was just there if I wanted it. And I'd never had that feel in my life before. So when that happened, I said, okay, people would love this one. I want to let people know. But we didn't have access to much at the time. So I took a few bottles down to a market in Toronto and showed it there. But everybody just was like, oh, whatever, I'm not interested in that. It looks like, what is it? Algae? Algae's been around forever. They got spirulina and chlorella. And I said, no, this is different. This is really different. This comes from the ocean. This is the functional foundational nutrient of the ocean. Because I started doing research into it. When you run into something cool, you want to find out why.
Yeah.
Why is it so cool?
Well, that was the question I had. Is what is the difference between phytoplankton and algae? How do you differentiate that? And what is so powerful about phytoplankton?
Okay, well, if you look at the amount of life on the earth, so you have hundreds of billions of animals and different, birds and insects, and then you have 7.8 billion humans on the land. Well, there's 8 times more, it's an estimate, 8 times more life in the ocean than there is on land, because you've got such a depth, right? That you can be at any elevation, whereas we're just on the land here. So when you look at the life in the ocean, the largest mammals are there. The amount of life in there is just teeming and brimming with it. And phytoplankton is the functional foundational food for the entire ocean. If you were to remove that out of the ocean, the entire ocean would die. It also produces 90% of our oxygen.
Because that's what most of the fish are eating, most of the sea,
well, it's food chain. It's actually food chain. So you get the plankton consume the marine phytoplankton. So the marine phytoplankton is the smallest. Okay. And it just keeps going up the food chain. And then you got the krill, consuming the plankton, and you got all the way up, right? So that's where it goes from. So everything depends upon it, because each fish is eating bigger and bigger fish as they go up.
Right.
And so what happens is phytoplankton, there's like 40-some thousand strains of phytoplankton, marine phytoplankton. And that doesn't help you and me, because most of it is of no use to the human body. It has great use in the ocean. And there was a 40-year study going from the 60s all the way through to the early 2000s, where they did an analysis of usefulness of each different type of marine phytoplankton. And they found that there were two strains. One is called Nano gotatana, and the other one is Tetrasemis. And they are both a very close match to a human nutritional profile, like what your body is looking for.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about, molecular nutrition. So essential fatty acids, amino acids, pigments, minerals, vitamins, all of, enzymes, all the stuff that our body wants or that uses to convert to hormones, to stem cells, to whatever, right? Because your body requires the raw material.
Yeah.
So when you give the whole orchestra of every nutritional molecule in the world all in one little package called a marine phytoplankton, that's where the change happens. And that's entirely different than spirulina or chlorella or all the other algae out there, because those are freshwater algae and or whatever source they come from, but they don't provide the entire nutritional profile for the life of the ocean. And when you put this into your system, your body intelligence knows exactly what's coming in. You're scanning everything, and your body knows where to put different things. So when you play the entire orchestra of nutrients all at once to your system, something really cool happens, and your body gets extremely happy. Yeah. And your brain goes, yeah, this is cool stuff. I know exactly what to do with this. Instead of having to figure out formulations and this and that, which are all cool, this is like the most cool, because it's going to guarantee you the raw material to fill every gap you require, and you don't need very much of it. It's not like you can eat marine phytoplankton and then go climb a mountain. You need different fuel for that kind of thing.
Right.
But this is the
it's not really providing calories, but it's providing, in a sense, just a complex of all the other micronutrients that your body really needs.
Right. Yeah, nano micronutrients. Yeah. It's a micro-sized, the phytoplankton in the gotatana is 2 microns. The tetras is 14 microns. Mm-hmm. But as soon as you digest them, it releases billions of nanonutrients into your system, which then can get bioavailable, and your body just uses them up. And the way that you learn about it is, I can tell you about it, but the best way to learn is to actually ingest it, because that intelligence goes into your system and teaches you how important things are. Yeah. Because we can talk till all day long about all the science and all the cool stuff, but until you actually consume it, you can't get it. And I was fortunate, because I consumed it before I was trying to get it. I just thought, well, that must be cool. Let's try that.
Right.
And that opened up a whole new world to us. And that's what launched our little business out of Toronto. We just started bottling it in a clean room in our basement and sending it to the United States. And when people got a hold of it, they just wanted more and more and more and more and more.
So that was your very first product.
Yeah. Yeah. The Ocean's Alive was the very first product.
Yep. Yeah. Really, really fascinating. I've been giving it to my kids. They're like, they always ask for the ocean. They're like, can I have some ocean? And that's what I give it to them. And, you think about the ocean, there's just so much power in the waves, right? Mm-hmm. And there's so much energy in there. And so you're kind of like bottling up the energy of the ocean, putting that in our system. So really cool. And obviously you were dealing with this severe toxicity. Let's talk about, obviously you were starting to take the phytoplankton in this product. How did that help to improve and basically open up your detoxification pathways?
Well, it didn't really open up the detox pathways per se. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But because my cell function was so off, all my lipid membranes were messed up. I had so much toxicity inside the cell. What the Ocean's Alive did is it allowed me to absorb nutrients in spite of that problem.
Okay. Yeah.
And it also doesn't cause an inflammatory response. A lot of foods we eat, as you know, cause an inflammatory response because you're burning the fuel, but you get all this smoke, right? Yeah. Well, there's no smoke at all with the phytoplankton. So in spite of the terrible condition I was in, it still allowed my body to work. And then I started learning about how to do heavy metal detox. I did a whole number of different protocols, which we don't have time to get into today. But as I got my body more detoxed, of course, everything started working better. The very next thing I found out about was a magnesium deficiency.
Yeah.
And so then I found out you could put it into your skin. Mm-hmm. But it had to be a very specific type. You can't just go and get magnesium chloride and melt it in water and put it in your skin. Mm-hmm. That is very inefficient. There's a very specific USB pharmaceutical grade magnesium chloride hexahydrate that takes 12 hours for us to make it. And when you make that and you put it through this specific process, you have the ultra purity, when you put it on your skin, it immediately disappears. Like 90 seconds later, it's gone. and you can actually feel it in your system, relax your body and bring your stress levels down and do all that. So, but I mean, the detoxes that I did, that was a different world. Like,
Yeah.
I had to change the oil in my body because I found out about seed oils, and you have to make sure that seed oils aren't rancid. They are not adulterated. They're not damaged, because most of them are. And then your packaged oils that come with packaged food or restaurant food or whatever, all those oils are very harmful to you, but they're just a little bit at a time. So they just build up over the years.
Yeah.
Having your oil changed is simply adding beautiful, unadulterated, pure, clean, unrancid oil to your system, and your body does an oil change. So I went through all those things. Because I was in an extreme situation, which most people are not, I had to do extreme things in the detox.
Yeah.
And if people want to learn about that, that's a whole different thing altogether.
Yeah.
But as far as people getting healthier and healthier and healthier, rather than big Herxheimer effects where you're down and you're feeling sick for a week, I don't like those things at all. I don't believe in them anymore. I think that you should be able to gently detox, unless you're dying, in a week from now. Yeah, okay, you're going to go through it. But having a nice, gentle day after day after day, cleansing and nourishing, those are the two terms I've always used as I learned how that worked. Because if I'm cleansing and nourishing every day, I'm just taking care of it. I'm getting better and better and better every day. And I don't have to have these fiscal cliffs, in my health that I'm falling off of.
Right.
It's just what am I doing with my time, energy, resources?
What are your top strategies for cleansing and nourishing? Are you a fan? Obviously, I know you're doing a lot with your nutrition. Do you do things like intermittent fasting? What do you do for nourishing and cleansing on a daily basis?
Well, my nourishing cleansing protocol right now is a really gentle one, because I've gone through a huge amount of, like you mentioned, intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
Internet fasting would be a good
That's a good one too, right?
That's right. It is, actually. I haven't done enough of that.
Yeah.
But intermittent fasting, including dry fasting. So I've done the water fast. Dry fasting was very interesting. I did some, going back about 4 years ago, I did some significant amount of that. And that really cleaned me out. And I'm into that. I'm into doing things on a sporadic basis rather than like every day, like just hardcore. The intermittent fasting, wonderful thing to do, because it just is so obviously scientific. And I would do 8 hours of consuming of whatever I wanted, obviously clean stuff, and then 16 hours of nothing.
Right.
And if I did the water, it was water then, or if I did the dry, it was just dry then. And then every week, 24 hours of dry.
Yeah. So you do a dry 24-hour fast every week?
I don't now, no.
Oh, you don't now, but you did.
I did. Yeah, I did. Oh, yeah, I went through all that. And once I saw the results come in, then I was very, very happy, because I noticed that when I kept doing that, it didn't give me much result anymore, because the main purges had happened.
Yeah.
Then I realized, let's just do this on a gentle basis day to day. And I learned about some other things from classical Chinese medicine, which is not to be confused at all with traditional.
Right.
Classical Chinese medicine goes very deep. It doesn't cost any money. I totally repaired major injuries that were in my body since I was in my 20s. And I was in my 60s repairing them. I started when I was 60 years old. This is 2 years back. And I went through my whole system with my hands and a special little tool where I clarified all the garbage out of my system that I couldn't detox, that doesn't detox from normal detoxes and cleanses.
Yeah. And
when I saw that visibly, these are things that you visibly see. This is not theoretical. This is practical, physical. You can see it with your eyes. When it comes to faith in the invisible, that's different. When you have faith in a physical healing thing, you've got to see it happen physically.
Yeah.
Seeing is believing when it comes to that stuff. And when I saw what happened and I experienced what my body went through, I reversed a 60-year-old broken person, from previous injuries when I was in my 20s. I'm talking about serious rig accident injuries, vehicle injuries, completely erased them. And all the chronic pain that was in the joints, like my knees, gone. That's deep stuff. And that's the most advanced. Yeah. So there's all kinds of things that I was able to go into. Once I was at a certain level, I could go up higher and then share that information. But a lot of it is so intense to people who are not in that space. If I were to share that to just anybody, they would think that I was a radical extremist, but I'm not even close. There's nothing radical and nothing extreme about it at all. It's only the perception of things.
Yeah. Yeah. So you started with this foundation, obviously really working on nourishing your body, getting the ocean minerals into your system, changing your nutrition, your lifestyle, your mindset. Obviously doing all that, you got into more advanced detoxes. What one question I had is, with the Oceans Alive, this product right here that I have in my hand, obviously it's energy and focus are kind of the biggest things that people are going to notice with this. Is this good to take with meals or away from meals? Like, is there a better time to take it?
No, you can take it anytime with anything.
Anytime?
Yeah.
Because you don't need to
use
use any digestive energy in order to metabolize it.
That's right. You can throw it in your Vitamix and turn it on high power and not harm
Yeah.
it. Now,
Right.
it doesn't like heat.
Yeah.
But it is the richest nutrient. Like if people want to see how really, truly rich it is, I don't know if you've done this, but you put one drop in the back of your hand and just lick it off. I love the stuff, but you have to love ocean flavor because it gives you the depth of the richness of the ocean. And most people, I say, look, if you don't like anything too intensely strong, put it into an ounce of water, stir it up, have a glass of water here. And this actually applies to anything that's not palatable to people. They shoot that back and immediately flush it down with water. They have no taste sensation at all. But the biggest thing is to get it in your system at any time. And the more brain power you're required to use in that particular day, the more you should use. Like I had a friend who did a 6-month project and he got like 3 years worth of work done in 6 months. It was unheard of. And he was dosing that 5 times a day. He would just have the bottle with him all the time. He just put it straight in his mouth, which is, again, you got to get a taste for that.
Yeah.
But he was doing that. And he said that that's what powered him through the whole thing because he didn't ever touch anything caffeine based or whatever.
Right.
And it's far, far more powerful than caffeine. And I'm not against caffeine, a person, has a bit tired or whatever. But this is that power. And when you do it, you feel this. It's like charging your battery up. You get your battery charged up. You have reserve energy you can tap into. And that's how you do it. That's the biggest battery charger I've ever found.
Yeah. So it's got more of the adaptogenic qualities to it.
Yes.
And, I always tell people what gives us energy is not really food. Like food is really there for healing and repair, right? Providing raw materials, but it's actually water and electrolytes, right? It's like really it's water and minerals because we're electrical beings, right? So it helps drive our electrical engines. That's why I know you're in Canada, but in the United States, we have Thanksgiving, you have Canadian Thanksgiving. So we have this huge meal and then we want to take a nap afterwards, right? We took in all this potential energy, yet we're exhausted, right? We want to take a nap. And I get my best work done when I'm well hydrated and fasting, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's when my brain is most active, most alive, and is very driven to work. And so this works really well with that because it provides electrolytes as well as, energy that's in there and all the other nanonutrients that you were talking about without actually driving your digestive system to have to work. And on top of that, it's also providing all these things while your body, basically has all this freed up stored energy to stimulate, just your own mental clarity, your own energy. So I think that's great. Let's talk about what your daily lifestyle looks like now. Because obviously you've been through this healing journey, right? And now you're on the other side of it and you're experimenting with different things. So what's a day in the life look like for you?
Well, it's fairly simple now. And most of the experimenting is pretty much done because the things that made the most difference, that moved the needle the most, have come in. So when I wake up in the morning, the very first thing I do is drink a liter of water with a very special mineral complex in it that allows the body to flush out.
Yeah.
Right. So that I flush the body first thing.
Yeah.
Then I take an iodine product. It's a totally unique thing. It's never been ever in the world before. It's an I2-Dalton molecule of iodine in an aqueous solution. Has no toxicity, no chemicals, no nothing, no toxicity whatsoever. And it's super safe because it's in a Dalton molecule is 12 times to the decimal place to the right side of 0 when it comes to pico. Anyway, it's so tiny that it will float up into the atmosphere if you leave the top off the bottle. And it'll be just water in the bottle when you're done. So you keep the lid on and you keep that in there, but I consume it in water I spray it on my skin. It's a super healing thing. And what that does, it makes sure that I have everything clearing my system. Like any nasty stuff in my system is going to be eliminated.
Hmm.
And plus it gives brain fuel because the iodine converts to iodide, and that feeds the thyroid and the brain. So iodide is equivalent to IQ. So your body IQ, your mental IQ is significantly upgraded when you have iodide, pure iodide going into your system. And that's a whole nother story. And then from then, I will take I basically take the Ocean's Lives, the supplements. After a shower, always spray my body with Ease. And I don't always do it before I go to bed, but sometimes I'll spray Ease before I go to bed.
Now,
But I
Ease
sleep.
is your magnesium product, right? So your transdermal magnesium product that you're
Correct.
getting in through the skin. Yeah,
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. And then I make sure that I eat clean.
Yeah.
We have our own farm, so I'm very fortunate. My wife runs the farm, and we have everything out there. And she's all organic, and like we just control all of that stuff.
That's great.
Yeah, and then I just make sure I kind of take a bit of a shortcut on sleep, which I know I'm not supposed to do that, but for some reason I can function at a very high level with a lesser amount of sleep at night, but having a nap during the day. If I have a half-hour nap at 3 in the afternoon, that's equivalent to 3 hours worth of sleep for me.
Yeah.
And I'm just able to get a lot more done because we have a lot of people to serve and a lot of things to do because we are a primary manufacturer. Plus we have our own marketing team, and there's a lot of stressors around that just to keep everything in super high quality.
Entrepreneurialism, right? Yeah.
It really is. Yeah. And it's, and we're, going into a space now where we're in a 70,000 square foot facility. We've got our GMP certifications. We have to, match all the compliance for Health Canada, for the international requirements. So all of that requires a lot of brain power and the whole team who is working. And so I've been using that. I know I'm supposed to get 7 hours of deep sleep every night. I'm running on like 4 or 5.
Yeah. Wow.
And getting a nap during the day. And I actually feel better than I did when I was getting 7 hours. So there's something, it's around this polyphasic sleeping thing.
Yeah.
But I haven't totally dialed that in yet. So we'll see. But yeah, just keeping cleansed and nourished every day, making sure I'm focusing on cognitive, like not just up in the head, but the brain in the head, the heart, and the gut.
Right.
And making sure everything is synchronized. And that's where the iodine didn't come in until last November. And it was 35 years in development. I invested in a gentleman's company in November, and he moved into our facility, and now we manufacture the product with him under activation. And that changed everything. That was one of the most powerful things I've ever put into my system for cognitive ability and just feeling clear in my body. The other product I use every day is called Solaris. We started manufacturing that last year. I've known about it since 2016. And I wanted to let it settle in before we really got into it a lot, but it's a plant sterile extract of clove, thyme, rosemary, and peppermint. But it's not oils. You put it into water, it disappears in the water. But that is another one that helps go after, it actually dissolves heavy metals, it doesn't chelate them. And it literally makes a heavy metal into an inert matter. It works topically on all kinds of things, which I can't even talk about legally. Because I'd be making a medical claim, which is not cool. But it does many, many things that we have seen it do, which astounded me because it sounded too good to be true when I first heard about it. Because the person who had been selling it for several years through doctors only had all these results. I'm like, too good to be true. No, maybe not. Let's check it out. And so as I started getting it out to the public privately, I saw it performing at every one of those levels. And I realized this guy had only told me what he had seen it happen. He didn't make it up. And so we bought a very significant amount of it. We haven't done a full launch on the product yet, but we did release it last year. It's called Solaris.
Yeah.
And all you do is just put it in water, drink it. You want to make sure you can, don't take too much at once because you'll get a taste sensation that will numb your mouth.
Yeah.
But if you put like 10 drops in a glass of water and drink it, you're fine.
Yep.
But that's another cleansing product. It's a super cleanser and it's gentle, but it's powerful. You want gentle and powerful. You don't want to waste your time. And that one, that's another one. You just simply add that in. It's only once a day that you take that.
Well, interesting. Definitely fascinating products. And, I was really captivated by the ocean product just because, again, when I think about the ocean, I just think about all this amazing potential energy, right? And you've basically been able to take that and put it into a form that's really, really easily absorbable for our body, right? And
And it's fresh. It's got the life energy in it.
that's right, that life energy, absolutely. And really, when it comes down to supplements, ultimately their benefits going to come down to the life energy that's in there, not necessarily just the ingredients, but the actual life energy that's there. And so, really, really powerful stuff. Any last things to say about the phytoplankton or any of the other products?
Yeah, well, the phytoplankton has been around the longest. It is sold the most. It is our most
Mhm.
popular product by
Yeah.
far. People live by Oceans Alive, and people who get on it stay on it.
Yep.
There's for a whole bunch of reasons. Uh, the one thing we haven't really spoken about too much, we touched on it a bit, was the oil. So we have
Mhm.
a technology that presses seed oil without damaging it and allows the nutritional profile in the oil to be carried into your system.
Mm.
Oil is a delivery system. So
Right.
whether it's black cumin, black seed oil, amaranth, coriander, pumpkin, black sesame, they all have a different function within your system for organs. So
Mm.
that's our super cleansing, nourishing type of thing, because you're changing the oil in your body.
Yeah.
Plus, you're delivering all these specific nutritional, these are again micronutrients coming
Yep.
into your system. So that's the oils since 2013, but never really got into the business of it fully until 2014.
Hmm.
And because we had to go through a whole iteration,
Yeah.
but that has been improved dramatically. Grown in, when it's harvested, what is the quality of the seed? Did they dry it incorrectly? There's all these different criteria. So we haven't been able to expand that as quickly as we would want it to because of that restriction. Just too
Mm.
many people do it incorrectly from a seed growing standpoint.
Yeah.
But we've got a good source. It's just a matter of ramping that up. So and it's everyone just making discerning what they should be doing with their time, energy, and money the most important of all. Where are they going to get the most results? There are thousands of things you can do, but you want to get it down to the least amount of time, energy, and money required
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
have the greatest result. And that's the ultimate elixir of being in a good high level wellness program.
Yeah, absolutely. And you do have some great oils. Black cumin, you got a black cumin seed oil, you got a milk thistle oil, pumpkin seed, a 5 oil blend. And you said all of those oils correlate to a specific organ. So from your research, the black cumin, what organ or organs does that seem to work the best with?
Well, the black cumin is an interesting one because that's an anti-inflammatory, but it's also an antitoxin.
Yeah.
And it's what we call that a whole body tonic.
Hmm.
It really shows up with hair and skin,
Yeah.
with getting garbage out of your system. It gets mold out. It does a lot of cool things. So the black cumin, that's a whole body tonic. That's more of a almost like a panacea type oil.
Mm. Okay.
And like the people in the Middle East say it cures everything except for death. Well, that's
Mm.
not true because it doesn't cure anything. It doesn't actually cure anything.
Yeah.
It just gives your body a raw material to work with because your body, like you mentioned at the start, it's all about your body going through the healing process.
Right.
Healing is of God. God put a healing energy in our body. If you cut yourself, it heals. Like,
That's right.
wow.
Yep.
Try doing that with a piece of equipment.
Yeah.
It doesn't heal.
Yeah.
You got
Right.
to weld it up, right? So it's this remarkable thing. And so all the other oils, like you mentioned, milk thistle has a very specific liver protection quality. And
Yep.
people who drink alcohol use it. I don't drink alcohol, and
Yeah.
I don't like alcohol. I don't think it's good at all.
Mm.
But people use that to protect their liver. Then if they drink alcohol, it doesn't harm their liver.
Yeah.
Then they take it again after they drink. That's how powerful milk thistle is.
It's also good for the gut lining and the kidneys as well. Milk thistle.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. And then the black sesame for kidneys, keeping your
Yeah.
kidneys nice like a sponge. And there's so many things that the oils do. It's just a massive list. People should do their own research.
Hmm.
We made it a
Yeah,
long
that's
way
okay.
without freezing.
No, I'm here. You said you were talking about how people should do their own research. Those of you guys that are listening, we have a little bit of technical internet issues here or Zoom issues, but we're just wrapping this up anyways. But yeah, these oils are fascinating, and just like you said, give your body an oil change. Got to get rid of the refined, processed oils, and you want to put in really pure, healthy and healing oils. I mean, I think that's something any of my followers know. We talk a lot about changing the fats that you eat. I think that's just so critical. And I'm also a huge fan of using herbs, right? Using carminative herbs and different cleansing herbs and things like that help support your digestive system, help support your body's ability to cleanse and regulate itself, adaptogenic herbs to help with energy, stamina, and sleep. So some really good stuff. Activation products is where you'll find a lot of these things. Of course, in our show notes, we'll have links to the various products that you'll be able to check out, and a special discount offer for you guys as well. These products are amazing products, really, really high quality stuff. Obviously, Ian's got his amazing health testimonial and his journey that's led him to, as you can hear, just really scientifically going deep in the purity of the products and the size of the molecules, because that makes a big difference in how well your body's going to be able to absorb and utilize them. So guys, definitely check those out. Ian, this has really been a privilege and a pleasure. You are just a wealth of knowledge, and I just want to take a moment and acknowledge you for, really being a health hero, and, obviously going through a process and learning how your body was made to heal and getting healthy and well yourself, and then dedicating your life to constantly working hard on creating these amazing products to help so many people all around the world. So thanks for that. And thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you for your work as well. Now, acknowledge all the people you've really connected with, all the top level information. Love your podcast, love the work you're doing, and really appreciate you taking the time to spend with me today and let people know on this side of it.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again, Ian. And for those of you guys that are out there, remember, your life is more valuable than you think it is. So start taking action now to improve your life, your healing, and live your best life. And we'll see you on a future podcast. Be blessed.